Gulf Injustice Podcast, the official podcast of Detained in Dubai with Radha Stirling.
Welcome to the Gulf Injustice Podcast. I'm Radha Stirling, and today we are going to be telephoning a client of ours, Grant King, and giving him the surprise information that he's been waiting for, that he's finally been deleted from the Interpol Red Notice database. He was wrongfully reported to Interpol by the state of Qatar, who failed to comply with Interpol requests for further evidence to back up their listing, which is a tactic of Qatar. And often in extradition cases like that of Connor Howard, he was arrested in Greece subject to extradition proceedings that Qatar initiated, but they failed to comply with requests from the Greek courts to provide that evidence to back up their request. So Qatar has a reputation of punishing people by the process. They don't actually expect to be successful in an extradition request. They don't expect to be successful in keeping a red notice active, but they know that they can abuse Interpol's database by simply listing someone, and the whole process to have that person removed takes a minimum of 9 months. So that in itself is a punishment, and it's absurd. So anyway, let's not keep Grant waiting any longer. Well, guess what I'm holding in my hand then? It's barely see it. You can't see it. I'm going to send it over in a moment, but it is official confirmation from Interpol that you have now been removed from the database.
Ah, brilliant.
So they dated that yesterday, I think it was 15. No, they said it was done on the 12th, and they've just contacted me today. So that's been completely finalised. You've now got a certificate that you can travel with, and you're free from any issues.
Brilliant. Okay, so I can literally travel from today if I want to.
Absolutely, yes. And what I would say is just carry this certification with you just in case anyone still has those historical records that they haven't updated yet, just on the off chance. But you've got that, and I'll send you over the letter of explanation as to why they have removed your name. As you know, they gave you that they gave Qatar that extension, and under a little bit of pressure, they decided to limit that to 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, Qatar still failed to comply with their requests. So they deleted it on that basis.
Right, okay.
Okay. So a bit of celebration for you tonight?
Yeah. So we actually, obviously, because we know this whole lot is obviously just based on hearsay rather than any facts. Like obviously when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, we got a bit excited then and just booked a holiday. Thought we're going to book something because we were so confident and we know there's no evidence whatsoever. We know there's nothing. And then obviously the 2 weeks went by and it was like we heard nothing. And obviously being through this whole process, we're like, could Qatar just chuck in something, even if it means nothing, just to kind of start a process? But obviously that's when we start to think things. When we kind of shouldn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, you tend to overthink things. I mean, you can't do anything else, can you? It's just a hopeless situation. Yeah. So do you have any tickets booked or not?
Yeah. We booked to go to Menorca on the 2nd of July.
Fantastic.
Just kind of get out of it. So, just wanted to book something just to kind of like have a little bit of a, like I say, even though it wasn't 100% confirmed, we know Qatar has no evidence because it was all bogus claims. Yes. We know 100% that I'd done nothing wrong. So now, when we got the confirmation that they've given Qatar 2 weeks, was like, okay, right, this now should mean that there is an end in sight. So we just booked something. Got a bit excited last week or 2 weeks ago and booked something.
Okay, fantastic. And when are you going again?
2nd of July.
2nd of July.
So we gave it a little bit of time.
Well, that's good. I mean, look, they already suspended the notice before the deletion anyway, so that would have gone to Spain. And Spain has historically not been so bad anyway. They've detained people sometimes for, a few hours, but they've let them go, and ultimately they haven't been jailed or anything like that. So it is a good, safe place to go to sort of build up your confidence to travel as well.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Obviously, that's great news. I mean, my next thing is now was like, I through this whole process, I think it's been such a stressful, horrible, and one of the worst processes I've been through my whole life. And I want to know what can we do now to try and make this right. and take this further, because I don't want to just leave it there. I don't think what Qatar has done is right. I don't think what Interpol has done is right. And as great news as it is, I'm now off the list. It's still been nearly 2 years of stress and problems and health issues, money issues, family issues, everything issues. So I as much as I'm excited and happy that it's off, I still don't feel complete. I still don't feel.
Well, I mean, it's only a part. It's not really a vindication, because you shouldn't have been on there in the first place. So you're just going back to you're just going back to before. And when you have suffered something like that, you do want to be, you want that vindication, you want compensation, and you want assurances that this wouldn't happen again to you or someone else. So I think 100%. I mean, as we've already discussed many times before, I mean, going ahead with kind of exposing these abuses and working with organisations to change that sort of, reform Interpol overall, is an important part of our work, and an important part of everyone who's kind of come together in the same situation as you. And of course, Interpol, as we said, we want to take this forward and use your case and many others as examples that this isn't just a rare occurrence. Interpol might do some good work, but in doing the work that is, kind of good, perhaps, catching, all sorts of terrible criminals. But when it comes to things like this, there are safeguards that they could have put into place that would have prevented you from having been listed on Interpol in the first place. So getting those safeguards on board, and I think part of that is making them financially accountable for the lack of policy in that area, that things that they could have done to prevent this that they haven't done, shows that they've failed in their duty of care. And I think the only way to really, as we have discussed, the only way to really make them accountable for that is to force that accountability through a regulatory body such as a court, and that's what we're looking to do next.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let us deal with that. We've already done the preliminary interviews with that. So let us progress on that note, and you hopefully plan your holiday in the meantime. And we'll put that all together, and you'll be seeing those documents in the coming weeks. So hang in there, and at least take a moment to enjoy your freedom.
So you broke up there.
At least take a moment to enjoy your freedom and celebrate it again.
Yeah. Is there any kind of potential that the Qatar could later on in the future put another case against me just to kind of cause problems? Is that a possibility, or is it one time kind of only thing? Or is it an extremely unlikely possibility?
I mean, technically, you could argue that if there was some sort of political motivation behind Qatar's notification of you, that they might try to manipulate it if it was someone serious that the government were in pursuit of. But over the past 15 years, we haven't seen a single person be relisted once they've been removed. And Interpol actually has regulations about relisting someone, so they would probably not accept another notice from Qatar on your case. Never seen it happen.
And obviously, based on this, does this mean that I can go to any country and just stay away from Qatar, or is there kind of countries that Qatar does closely work with, like UAE and stuff like that, I should probably avoid?
You should definitely avoid countries in the Gulf region that have alliances where they could still technically have you listed on their own sort of localized Gulf network, like the equivalent of Interpol within that area. So you should stay away definitely from there. As far as if you are a high value target and there was some sort of VIP person after you who really wanted your extradition, then I would also advise you to stay away from certain other countries who might be more cooperative in an extradition request. And of course, Qatar can still make extradition requests directly on a country-to-country basis, skipping over the Interpol protocol. So you would want to avoid, if you are a high-value target, you would want to avoid certain countries. For example, you might avoid China or Thailand, countries that are more susceptible, India, for example, more susceptible to those extradition requests. But I think in your particular case, I think you're rather safe. But always in the future, if you're planning to go anywhere a little bit bizarre, just come back and check with me.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, it's big weight off my shoulders now. Then huge weight off my shoulders.
Definitely. So we'll take a moment, we'll take a breather, and then we'll get on with the punishment.
Yes. Hopefully we get something back from this.
Exactly. All right then. I'll send that over to you and speak to you soon. Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for the good news.
All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gulf Injustice podcast.